He goes, "Oh, you're going to Brazil. You got to look into the Varginha case." And I was like, "You mean the one where the UFO crashed and the aliens survived and they're walking through the town?" I go, "Sure, Jeff, I'll look into that." Click. I'm on my cell phone. And I had no intention of looking into it. I told him I might have said I would. I'm not looking into that. I'm not wasting my time on that case. So I get to Brazil, and this is 2011, and totally accidentally, completely like inadvertently, I met some witnesses they happened to be at the conference that I was at, and talked to them a little bit about it. A little bit. I was like, okay. Interesting. Kind of believed them a little bit. So I went back in 2012 and I thought, maybe there's something here. And I was knocking on doors and really chasing it. I mean, I went down to downtown Varginha, Brazil. Varginha is in the state of Minas Gerais, which is about 4 or 5 hours north of Sao Paulo. In Sao Paulo, myself used to think that included is the capital of Brazil, but it's actually Brasilia, which is way to the north. But Sao Paulo is like the big city, right? And second time around, I was like, wow, maybe there really is something to this. And then I went a third time, and then I went a fourth time. And then ultimately I made the film, and now I'm absolutely beyond a shadow of doubt, fully, completely convinced that a UFO crashed in January of 1996, and that some of the beings survived and were captured by the authorities and witnessed by civilians in the town of Varginha, Brazil. Yeah.
To you, what was the most compelling piece of evidence or interviews that you did from all the people you talked to in Brazil?
Like in Brazil?
What was the thing that stood out to you the most? Like,
I met with an Air Force brigadier by the name of Jose Carlos Pereira. I have a photograph of him in uniform somewhere. And he said, "I'll talk to you about the UFO phenomenon in Brazil gladly. I could talk about this case in 86, UFOs in Brazil, and I could talk about the Colares case, but I don't want to talk about Varginha." I was like, okay, why are you going to talk about Varginha? Don't even bring it up. I was like, Jesus. So Marco, my partner in Brazil, we did the interview. I honored the fact that he didn't want to, I don't know how I brought it up, but I basically didn't bring it up on camera. At the end of the interview, and I have video and photographic proof that I was with this guy. At the end of the interview, we walked him to his car where he had his driver waiting. And I looked him in the eye and I said, "I swear on my life and on my family's life, there is no recording devices anywhere on my body, no cameras rolling. Please, General, please tell me, did Varginha happen or not?" And Marco and I were basically we were I'd never begged. I wanted to know so bad. And he looked at Marco and he looked at me. And as he was getting into his car, he opened up the back door and he goes, "It happened." And he got in his car, closed the door, and off he drove.
What, so for people that are listening and watching, can you lay out kind of a linear timeline of what went down? What was seen first? Was it crafts, the crash, from the girls to the cop that actually captured the being?
So in January, probably 12th or 13th of 1996, there was a ultralight pilot by the name of Carlos de Souza. And Carlos was driving from Sao Paulo up to a state called Minas Gerais. It's a state to the north. And in Minas Gerais is Varginha and a number of surrounding cities. And he was driving on the freeway, and I think it was 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 maybe. And he saw something in the sky that was cigar shaped that didn't look right, and it looked like it was in trouble. And he witnessed it crash. Later on that day, 2 military officers, Eric Lopes and this guy named Marco Chirizi. And when you're in the police, it's like the fire department's part of the military, the police is part of the military police. So these 2 officers were on patrol looking for something unusual. They didn't say UFO crash and there's ET walking around.
Right.
So they're driving around and they're just a couple blocks away, and it's around 5:30 p.m. They're a couple blocks away from where the girls encountered. And by the way, I talked to a lot of people that had that area of Varginha completely cordoned off by the military, like military blockades all around there. And I talked to a lot of, I have them on camera, but they were armed, and like you're not walking one step further, including the local news outlets. I interviewed them as well. So they cordoned off the area that I'm talking about right now, and that's where the girls had the encounter. And 2 blocks away at 5:30, where military officers Marco Chirizi and Eric Lopes saw this creature run across the road in front of them. Slammed on his brakes. Marco jumps out the passenger door and grabs this thing with his bare hands. And he takes it and he puts it in the back seat on his lap. I believe it was the back seat.
On his lap?
On his lap, yes. And they take it initially to a clinic in the town of Varginha, and the guy comes out and says, I don't know what the heck that thing is. Get it out of here. What are you guys doing? Kind of thing. And so they go to another hospital called Hospital Regional. And at which point the creature remains in regional hospital. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it ultimately ended up in Humanitas Hospital. And we have testimony from doctors that performed certain things, as well as military guys that drove the creature. We have the entire area where the creature was. So they captured 2 creatures. One was alive, and I think the other one was not alive.
The one that Eric Lopes caught that you said was in his lap in the car, was that one alive or dead?
It was alive.
That one was still alive.
Yeah, and put up very little resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a cut on his arm, kind of on his shoulder, like right here, during the capture of it. Whether it scratched him with a nail or I don't know what exactly happened, but he got infection. And within days, week or whatever it was, he went into the hospital. The doctor administered antibiotics, and he said he'd never in all of his years prior or since seen anything like it. Marco Trees, a perfectly healthy 23-year-old young man, got this like complete immune system failure, and he died. And we interviewed the family, his sister. We interviewed the doctor who worked on him. And they wanted to put him in the ground as soon as possible.